What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Victory Brewing Company, and they are out of Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and this is their DirtWolf. So they are calling this one a double IPA that comes in at 8.7% alcohol by volume, 85 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this bottle is, but I will say that they do have a best by date on the label, and this is best by June 27th of 2022, and we're about 3.5 months from that date right now as I drink this. So I'm going to say it's relatively fresh, and if Victory says that it's best by that date, then we should be fine. Now, typically, I think beers like this get like 4 to 6 months of age, so it's probably at the oldest like just over 2 months old, maybe close to 2.5, and the freshest this one would be is probably like a month to just over. So anyway, I don't know. It's fine. It's a best by date of June 27, 2022. We should be fine. Anyway, DirtWolf. I've had this beer before. It's been about 7 years, but I've had it. And I was underwhelmed by it. Now, I think I had it back in 2015. And back in 2015, I was not in love with IPAs and double IPAs and beers of this nature. I did like some, but my palate just started to shift into enjoying hop-forward beers. So, I don't think I gave this. Let me rewind. I was gonna say that I didn't give this one a fair chance. I don't think that's correct, but my palate is completely different now than it was 7 years ago. So I want to give this one a real chance and give it a proper review. And here we are now. It's not, again, probably super fresh, and that's okay. But when you review shelfy beers like this and you just pick them up off the shelf, sometimes you can't get the most fresh beers. And this is probably the freshest that I'm going to review it or have a chance to review it, so I'm fine with it. Anyway, now that I've talked way longer than I needed to before I even cracked the beer open, let's give it a pour and get it a proper review. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the malts and hops, which we'll get to momentarily. I'm going to fill this to the top right here. Beautiful looking beer, though, honestly. That is a beautiful looking, like, old school double IPA. On the side here, it says, this strong pack of American hops immerse in an aggressive dry hop to deliver intense aromas and flavors of citrusy, earthy notes. Very generic. Malt, Pilsner, and Pale Crystal. Hops, Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic, and Chinook. So, yeah, some older school hops, some newer school hops. Well, relatively newer school, Citra and Mosaic. So, yeah, that... that you can see through for the most part. Good clarity. Has this really nice yellow into very soft orange color. Decent not a ton of carbonation, decent carbonation. Had about a finger of an off-white, nice looking head, but kind of dissipated, generated back. Some lace, alcohol legs on the side of the glass. It's a good nose. Nice. Ooh. Wow. I am getting a lot of like a white grapefruit, Tangelo. Again, if you have never had a Tangelo, it's a tangerine and grapefruit hybrid, very juicy. But I'm also getting like apricot, nectarine, things like that, stone fruits. Ooh, that's really nice. A touch of like a bready, slightly caramel kind of malt note, more like bready and crackery. There's a resinous kind of hop character that's more like earthy, like they said, not quite piney like a lot of these older school IPAs can or double IPAs can land. Smells really nice. Yeah. I really like that Tangelo apricot thing. It's a very weird combination. What is that? Kiwi? Maybe a bit of kiwi. Yeah, wow, okay. I don't know. I want to get into it. Cheers, everybody. Let's see what it has to offer. Really tame, but nice. Tame, but nice. I was expecting... Okay, now it's starting to build. I'm going for another sip, and then I'll start flapping my gums. Second sip, it's starting to build. So the first thing I was going to say is I was expecting a bigger pop of bitterness just because, again, I think they released this one for the first time in 2013-14. I had 2015. And back then, beers like this, yeah, they were using Citra, Mosaic, some of the newer, more popular hops that had just kind of come to the forefront, and especially Mosaic. And I like that it has some of those new school characteristics. But back then, you're not expecting something that doesn't have any bitterness. And when I took that first sip, I was like, it doesn't have as much bitterness. Now, after 2 sips, oh yeah, there's a huge resinous pine and earthy kind of bitterness. Not, I should say earthy and then pine, but there's a big resinous pine, bitter. I said it again, resin. It's so easy to say resinous pine. Resinous bitterness on the back of the palate. Body on this one, higher side of medium, lower side of full, big, 8.7%. You can tell from the body. The mouthfeel, this is an old school mouthfeel. It's crisp on the palate, has a lot of carbonation. Really smooth though, just it's not soft, not creamy, not what I expect when you're drinking an old school double IPA. And it's funny to say this is released 2013, 14, so it's old school, but it is. 2013, 14, we're talking 8 to 9 years ago. The flavors pretty much carry over. I really like, there is a beautiful blended mixture of Tangelo and apricot at the front of my palate. There's also juicy, sweeter, zesty orange as well. Passes through. The apricot kind of takes hold of the palate from a fruit standpoint. A little bit of kiwi mix in. There's an underlying bready, crackery, slight caramel malt sensation. But soon as I'd say the halfway point through your palate, this beer just starts changing. Huge resinous, earthy component. There's some of that pine I was talking about. It finishes semi to full on dry with a very moderate to maybe a touch over moderate bitterness. This is a big bitter monster. It's not so bitter that it's like an old school IPA where it's just like you couple sips and you're like, holy shit. Like it's like a shock to the palate. But it's a kind of shock to my palate because I just don't drink super bitter beers like this. And this is really bitter, but not in a bad way. Like it's welcome to my palate. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's terrible. No, I actually like it nowadays. There's a reason why I think I gave this like a 3.5 back in 2015. Why? Because my palate is way different. And I think that kind of bitterness and just the beer in general didn't work as well as it does now with my palate. 8.7%. Let me tell you something. Fucking scary because I'm not even getting a warming in the chest or an astringent on the palate. Just the body is the only indication this is a bigger beer because it does have a big body. But man, they have hid the alcohol extremely well with this one. Like I was just drinking, I was like, holy shit, it's 8.7. What? Yeah, it's really nice. Here's the thing: is it going to blow anybody away? And now, if you're a hazy drinker, and you love your hazy double IPAs at 8 to 8.5%, are you going to pick this one up and be blown away by it? Certainly not. You're just not. If you're somebody who got into craft beer 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you can appreciate hazies now and old school West Coast double IPAs and old school East Coast double IPAs, do you like this one? I'm pretty sure you do. For me, I really enjoy this one. I think the difference between 7 years ago when I had this one to now is that my palate is acclimated to bitterness way more than it was back then. I enjoy that resinous, earthy, kind of piney finish to this one. And I just enjoy these styles more. So I really like this one. Is it anything special to me? Listen, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is 5 out of 5 from here. It's not. But when I gave this beer a 3.5 7 years ago, it's substantially better than that. So Victory's DirtWolf Double IPA, I have no problems giving that a straight 4 out of 5. I think that's a good score for this beer. And yeah, there's not much more to say about it in terms of reviewing because I pretty much covered it. And yeah, it's one of those beers that I'm glad I retried this one and properly reviewed it because this is definitely better than the 3.5 I gave it. And I'm happy. A couple people wanted to see me review it, and here we are. So terrible review as always, but I try. Anyway, price and availability. Here is where it's fucking fantastic value. So when you pick up a hazy IPA nowadays in a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans, which you do the math, that's 64 ounces of beer. These come in, I believe, 6-packs, 12 ounce, so 72 ounce. So you get 8 more ounces of beer. And typically a 4-pack of an 8.7% double IPA is $20. Typically for a 4-pack from somebody, right? This 6-pack, $12.99 in my area. Even if these were, say, $15 a 6-pack, fucking great value. You're talking about an 8.7% alcohol by volume double IPA for, in my area, I think I paid like $2.39 for that bottle by itself. Like the fact that you can get 6 packs of bottles in my area for $12.99 is fucking crazy. That's great value, especially nowadays in this market. Yes. And availability, wherever you see Victory, you should see this one. I can't remember if this is like I think this is like a rotating offering. I don't know if it's seasonal, but it's tough for me to find, if it's not a new release from Victory and it's like one of their older releases, even if it's seasonal, sometimes I can't find it all that fresh. I think I read the Best by June 27th. So if we put 6 months on it, it probably was bottled in late December. It's early March, so just over 2 months old. For 2 months old, this has held up extremely well, in my opinion. Yeah, it's really nice. That Tangelo and apricot flavor is something that I don't think I've ever gotten that combo. And especially the apricot starting to build up a little bit more. It just has a nice, like, ripened apricot. And yeah, I like it. So if you've had this one before, and I'm sure a shit ton of you have had this beer before, please post in the comment section. Let me know. Did you try this when it first came out in 2013, 14? What did you think about it back then? Do you think it's fallen off? Do you think maybe it's not as good as it was? Maybe it's better. Maybe it's the same. What do you think about this one? I want to know. That's the whole reason to have a beer tubing channel, is to interact with you guys. So if nobody's posting anything in the comment section, then I'm kind of just reviewing it and people are watching it and giving it likes, but like, I'm here for the interaction. Let me know. Throw something in the comment section. Not much more to say about it, so appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. This was part of Shelfie beer reviews for the month of March 2022. I believe I have a couple more to review before the month ends, and I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I'll also have, I shouldn't say I have, I'm going to grab their Berry Monkey, part of their Golden Monkey-like series. I think that is Golden Monkey with raspberries, and I think it's sour. I think it's like a fruited sour Belgian-style triple. I'm going to review that next month for Shelfie beer review, so we're going to have another Victory beer, and I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, until the next one, cheers.